This woman is being watched by the devil. She had just stepped out of the bathroom. There was a knock on the door. There was nothing outside. A second knock on the door continued. This time she opened the door. The corridor outside was empty. The woman thought it was a prank. Unbeknownst to her, the demon had already sneaked into her room. When she returned to her room, tragedy struck. The woman tied a hemostatic bag to the air out of thin air and then sprayed with an unknown blue liquid. A few light taps, a blood vessel will quickly bulge. Then, with a very thick syringe to inject a red liquid. The next second, the red liquid began to spread slowly and rapidly. First, it reaches the heart, then slowly flow to the limbs until it spreads all over the body. Then a miraculous scene happened. A gorilla suddenly appeared in front of everyone's eyes. It turns out that this laboratory stealth animal restoration experiments are being conducted in secret, and the military's ultimate goal is to develop human invisibility technology so as to create an invisible army. But technically speaking, it's easier to be invisible than to be visible. The animals in the cages were their experiments. Invisibility has not been restored. Even daily care has to wear thermal goggles to see. Science geek Caine is the head of this project. Caine has a quirk. He likes to peep at the female neighbor across the street to take a shower. The curtains would be closed at every crucial moment. Caine was very distressed, but then came the inspiration, and so he broke through the restoration technique. Caine invented the restoration technique and succeeded in recovering the gorilla. But when he reported the progress of the experiment to the military, Caine deliberately concealed it. Caine didn't want to give away his research.
They know that we've completed the circle. What is to stop them from taking over the project completely?
Why would they do that?
Because they won't need us anymore.
But it's their project, Sebastian. It's gonna happen sometime.
Maybe their project, but it's my dream, it's my vision.
This one he actually offered to do human experimentation directly. He even volunteered to be a guinea pig. He injected the invisibility agent into himself. He is really confident. Immediately afterwards, with a painful wailing sound, the skin on his body began to gradually disappear, then slowly turned into a skeleton until completely transparent. Just like that, Caine became the world's first invisible man. In order to collect enough experimental data, his invisible state needs to be maintained for 3 days. But during those 3 days, Caine's true nature was revealed. He sneaked into the duty room late at night. First, he stroked the hair of a female colleague. Then he started to make advances. Only when the woman woke up did he sneak back in. The next day, the woman told other colleagues about the incident, but because there is no evidence, people can only stop. Colleagues did not say anything on the surface, but inside, they have felt fear of being dominated by the invisible man. To go to the bathroom, female colleagues have to wear thermal goggles to feel at ease. Caine is even more reckless in front of Linda, just because Linda is his ex-girlfriend. But the good news is that 3 days are fast approaching. Soon came the day of restoration, but not only did he not return to normal after the injection, and almost met God, no choice but to let Caine's invisible state can only be maintained for a while. But his colleagues made him a rubber membrane. Although his appearance was a little ugly, but at least he had a human form. The colleagues were no longer in fear. But in the following days, again and again, the restoration experiments Caine tormented enough. She was on the verge of a psychological breakdown. Caine could not stand being locked up in the laboratory all the time, so he ignored his colleagues. He went straight home. The colleagues saw that something was wrong and immediately informed the others. On the other hand, when he got home, Caine was much more relaxed. When he was ready to pack his things and go back to the lab, but suddenly saw the familiar image of the opposite side. But the curtains were still blocking the image as usual. But this time, Caine had a terrible idea. Caine, as a physically transparent person without the restraints of law and morality. Then a sick thought came to Caine. This woman's doorbell kept ringing. The woman opened the door, but the hallway was empty. The woman thought it was a prank, not realizing that a transparent person had slipped in. When she enters the house again, tragedy strikes. This girl was violated. On the other hand, Linda is at Caine's house. She found the hood and clothes that were taken off. Linda senses that something is wrong, and she immediately rushes back to the lab. At the same time, Caine just left the woman's home. In the laboratory, everyone is ready for the hot test mirror and anesthesia gun. Prepare for the unexpected. Caine appears out of nowhere. He lied and said he just went home to get something. Naturally, his colleagues do not believe Caine and warn him. But
if you leave the compound again, I swear I'll go straight to the committee.
When another colleague asked him what it was like to sneak out, Caine said smugly, "I liked it." Caine, having tasted the sweetness, was not willing to be trapped as a guinea pig once again. Caine looked at the heat-sensitive camera watching him, and he immediately had a plan. He let the camera loop the image of himself lying in bed. Then Caine sneaks over to his colleague Linda's house. Instead, Caine accidentally finds Linda and her colleague's assistant Matt. They are together. Caine was so angry that he smashed the glass of Linda's house and back to the laboratory to use the dog to vent anger. And Linda thinks it all has something to do with Caine. He suspected that Caine was behind the scenes. It turns out Linda's suspicions were correct. Linda felt her suspicions were unsubstantiated, so she immediately went back to the lab. Sure enough, the surveillance showed he was there, but the bed was empty. After Linda figured out that Caine was switching videos, Linda then realized the seriousness of the matter, so announced in public to report the matter to the military. But Caine was there to hear everything. He followed Linda to the colonel's home, only to find that Linda was smart this time. He blocked the doorway with a table, blocking the way. Caine took one look at the pool next to him. A terrible thought occurred to him. When Linda and the others had left, the colonel was about to inform the others, but the phone line had been disconnected by Caine. At this moment, the colonel did not realize the seriousness of the matter. He just instinctively went to the backyard to check. Little did he know that danger was approaching. The old man was about to die. He was pushed into the water by that one transparent person. He drowned alive in his own pool. The invisible Caine, in order not to let others know the existence of his invisible man, he decided to kill all his colleagues. Linda and Matt, who didn't know, were anxiously waiting for news from their superiors. But in the end, all they got was the death of their superiors. Something is not right. Linda is about to ask for further confirmation when she finds that the phone signal is suddenly cut off. Linda tries to call the police, but the password to the security system has been changed. Everyone is trapped in the lab. They were lambs to the slaughter. Faced with the invisible man, they decided to act as a team. The odds of winning would be much better this way. This colleague was just a step too late, and he was killed. In order to avenge their colleague, they decided to strike first. They used the mobile hot room monitor to find Caine's location. Then we sent two people to capture him. Linda was responsible for checking Caine's condition at all times, but once Caine stopped moving, the monitor will be useless. As a result, one of the colleagues was attacked. Seeing that Matt was no match for Caine, several people decided to split up to save others. At the critical moment, Linda saved Matt, but the other colleagues are in trouble. Matt tried to save the others, but accidentally became seriously injured himself. Caine locked the two in the freezer and turned the temperature to the lowest, ready to freeze them alive. At this point, Caine has completely lost control. In order to put an end to the problem, he decided to blow up the laboratory, destroy all the evidence. But what he didn't expect was that Linda used the handle and wire to make a solenoid successfully unlock the door. After settling Matt, he grabbed his oxygen tank and went to settle the score with Caine. Caine had set the time bomb and was about to escape. At this time, Linda chased after him and did not talk to Caine, directly set fire to Caine. At this time, Caine is already covered in flames, but he did not panic, quickly took off his holster and once again invisible. Linda used the last bit of firepower to turn on the sprinklers. Finally, Caine shows up, but Linda herself was attacked. Then Caine was ready to trample Shue alive. In the nick of time, Matt came to the rescue. He knocked Caine out with a blow. The two were ready to escape. Caine woke up and tried to attack from behind, but Matt dodged the attack. The iron bar hit the electric box. The two men took advantage of the moment when Caine was electrocuted, climbing out of the elevator shaft with the ladder. As the bomb countdown ended, Caine finally had his own fate and was buried in the fire. Linda and Matt escaped in this way. Imagine if a person had the ability to be invisible and no moral restraints. That's horrible. What do you think?